Today, we're diving into how U.S. law enforcement agencies are responding to recent strikes on Iran.
Right. The headlines are all about heightened alerts and increased vigilance across the country.
It's interesting how quickly agencies can shift into high gear when international tensions spike.
Absolutely. After the strikes, law enforcement started ramping up security, especially in major cities and around sensitive sites.
I read that federal agencies are coordinating closely with local police. That must present some logistical challenges.
For sure. Think about it. Different jurisdictions, varying resources, and the need for rapid information sharing.
There's also the question of public messaging. How transparent should agencies be without causing panic?
That's a delicate balance. You want to keep people informed, but not create unnecessary fear.
Some agencies have increased patrols at synagogues, mosques, and embassies. It's a proactive approach.
Yes, and it reflects lessons learned from past incidents, like after 9/11 or the Soleimani strike.
Speaking of the past, do you think the current response is more sophisticated compared to previous years?
I'd say yes. Technology and intelligence sharing have improved, but the basic concerns remain the same.
That's true. Human factors, like public cooperation and community trust, are just as important as the tech.
Exactly. Agencies can deploy all the drones and sensors they want, but community tips still matter.
There's also the risk of backlash against certain groups, which law enforcement needs to monitor closely.
Right. Hate crimes and retaliatory threats tend to spike during international crises.
I wonder how much of the current alert is visible to the average person.
Some changes are subtle, like plainclothes officers or increased cyber monitoring. Others, like barriers and patrols, are obvious.
Cybersecurity is a big part of this now, isn't it? Agencies aren't just watching the streets, but also the web.
Absolutely. There's concern about cyber attacks targeting infrastructure or spreading misinformation.
It's a bit like playing whack-a-mole, addressing threats as they pop up in different forms.
That's a good analogy. The threats are diverse and unpredictable, so responses have to be flexible.
Do you think all this extra security is sustainable, or does it fade as headlines move on?
Historically, there's a surge right after an event, then it gradually declines. But some measures stick around.
Like the way airport security changed post 9/11 and never really went back.
Exactly. Some changes become the new normal, even after the immediate threat passes.
What about the impact on daily life? Are people generally supportive of these precautions?
It varies. Some feel reassured, while others worry about overreach or profiling.
That's always a tension, security versus civil liberties.
And it's not just abstract. People notice if they're being watched more closely or if access to places is restricted.
There's also the issue of resource allocation. Can law enforcement handle this pace long-term?
Good question. Over time, burnout and shifting focus from other crimes are all concerns.
Sometimes, it feels like a game of chess, trying to anticipate the next move from potential adversaries.
Meanwhile, the public just wants to go about their lives without feeling under siege.
Do you think these high alert periods actually deter attacks, or just make people more cautious?
Maybe a bit of both. Visible security can discourage some threats, but it's not foolproof.
I guess it's like locking your front door. It won't stop every burglar, but it helps.
Exactly. Total security is a myth, but every layer helps reduce risk.
I'm curious how much agencies rely on intelligence from overseas partners during these times.
Quite a lot, actually. International cooperation is key, especially when threats originate abroad.
But that comes with its own challenges, like trust and sharing sensitive information.
Right. And sometimes intelligence can get lost in translation or bogged down by bureaucracy.
I imagine there's a lot of pressure on analysts to filter credible threats from the noise.
Definitely. They're sifting through mountains of data looking for patterns or clues.
And all this happens behind the scenes. Most people only see the visible signs, like police presence.
True, but that visible presence can have a psychological effect, both reassuring and unsettling.
Do you think social media makes this process harder for law enforcement?
In some ways, yes. It spreads information and misinformation at lightning speed.
So agencies have to monitor not just physical spaces, but the digital landscape too.
And respond quickly to rumors or threats that might go viral.
It's a lot to juggle. I wonder how agencies train for these high alert situations.
Regular drills, scenario planning, and coordination exercises are all part of the routine now.
But no amount of training can prepare for every possible scenario, right?
Exactly. Flexibility and adaptability are crucial, like being ready to pivot as events unfold.
There's also the emotional toll on officers. Constant high alert must be mentally exhausting.
For sure, agencies now offer more support and counseling, recognizing the stress involved.
That's a positive change. Mental health is as important as physical preparedness.
It's also important for building resilience, both for officers and the communities they serve.
So, as tensions remain high, what can ordinary people do to stay informed without getting overwhelmed?
Rely on credible sources, stay aware of your surroundings, but don't let fear dictate your actions.
I like that. Stay cautious, but live your life.
Exactly. Security is a collective effort, but so is maintaining normalcy.
As we wrap up, do you think these heightened alerts foreshadow more permanent changes in law enforcement strategies?
Possibly. Each crisis leaves its mark, shaping how agencies prepare for the next one.
It's a reminder that global events can have very local impacts, sometimes in ways we don't immediately see.
That's true. And it leaves us with a question. How do we balance vigilance with living freely in uncertain times?
Something for all of us to consider. Thanks for tuning in.
Stay safe, stay informed, and we'll see you next time.